They chatter, they boast, they reveal themselves with every careless word. Their need for attention is their weakness. But you, if you are to ascend, must understand that silence is not emptiness. It is leverage. Silence is the weapon of the patient predator, the cloak of the strategist. Machiavelli knew this truth. Power belongs not to the loudest voice, but to the quiet mind that listens, studies, and waits. The man who restrains his tongue controls the battlefield of perception. Words expose you, your fears, your plans, your weaknesses. But silence blinds your enemy. It unsettles them. It forces them to guess, to doubt, to reveal themselves first. While the weak advertise their every thought, the dangerous man withdraws into observation. He watches patterns, he reads intentions, he collects intelligence. His silence builds an aura of mystery, an invisible crown that others can sense but cannot touch. Do not mistake silence for passivity. It is an active weapon, sharpened in the shadows. And when the time comes to strike, silence delivers the blow with precision, swift, unexpected, undeniable. The world never sees it coming. That is how you become untouchable, by turning silence into a blade and wearing patience as armor. Remember this, silence is not absence, it is presence amplified. It is power concentrated. It is fear bottled, waiting to be unleashed. And those who cannot control their tongue will always be slaves to those who can. Comment this right now. Silence is my sword. Number 1, the mask of power. Power wears a disguise. What you see is never what truly is. The world is built on illusions, and those who survive at the top are those who control them. The mask is your first weapon, your first shield. To live unmasked is to live vulnerable, predictable, and exposed. To wear the mask is to master the art of invisibility while moving openly in plain sight. Machiavelli warned that rulers cannot afford the luxury of honesty. Honesty exposes, honesty reveals, and once the world knows your true thoughts, your true plans, your true desires, they will find ways to break you. The mask is not about lying. The mask is about protection. It is the barrier between your ambitions and the eyes that want to destroy them. Understand this. People are slaves to appearances. They do not want truth. They want the version of you that fits their expectations. Show them that version. Let them believe it. Bend their perception like steel under fire. If they believe you are loyal, they will never suspect your ambition. If they believe you are weak, they will never prepare for your strength. If they believe you are simple, they will never detect your complexity. The wolf wears sheep's clothing not because he fears the sheep, but because he despises arrogance. He allows the blind to believe he is harmless until he is at their throat. That is the essence of the mask, to play harmless while inside you sharpen your teeth. And remember this, the mask is not fixed, it is fluid. It adapts to every room, every conversation, every battlefield. To the ambitious, you show loyalty. To the loyal, you show ambition. To the strong, you show respect. To the weak, you show dominance. The man who cannot adapt his mask will be crushed by those who can. Perception is the battlefield. Your mask is your weapon. And he who controls what others see, controls what they fear, what they trust, and ultimately, what they obey. Number 2, the calculated strike. Power is not found in constant motion. It is not in frantic action, reckless words, or desperate displays. True power is precision. The lion does not chase every rabbit across the field. He waits, he studies, he chooses the one prey that matters, and when the moment of weakness reveals itself, he strikes with absolute certainty. That is how power operates, through patience, calculation, and devastating accuracy. The fool, by contrast, cannot wait. He speaks when he should be silent. He reacts when he should be still. He attacks at the wrong time, in the wrong place, for the wrong reasons. And in doing so, he bleeds his strength dry. Impulse is the weapon of the weak. Precision is the weapon of the strong. Restraint is not weakness, it is sharpening. Every moment you hold back is the whetstone against your blade. Every silence, every pause, every step withheld. It is preparation. The enemy thinks you are passive, when in reality, you are sharpening timing into an art. Machiavelli taught this truth. The wise ruler does not waste energy on battles that do not matter. The disciplined man does not reveal his hand until the game can be won. He does not flex power to feel powerful. He does not spend resources proving strength. Instead, he holds it. He builds it. He waits until one strike can do the work of 1,000. And when that strike comes, it is not loud. It is final. It is surgical. It cuts deeper than 10 reckless attacks ever could. Because the world is not prepared for precision. They expect noise. They expect reaction. But when you move with calculation, your strike carries the weight of inevitability. It reveals to everyone around you that you were never silent because of fear. You were silent because you were in control. Learn this discipline. Do not waste your energy on the meaningless. Do not rise to every provocation. Let them underestimate you. Let them mistake silence for surrender. And when the right moment comes, when the opening is perfect, move without hesitation. Strike once. Strike clean. Strike in a way they never recover from. The world respects precision. The world fears restraint, because when your strike finally comes, they will know it is not chance, it is destiny. Number 3, fear and respect. Respect is desired. Fear is remembered. Both can elevate you, but never confuse the two. Respect alone is fragile. It can vanish the moment you fail to meet someone's expectations. Fear, however, lingers. It etches itself into the mind, shaping behavior long after the moment has passed. The wise man does not choose between them. He learns how to balance them, and he ensures that if forced, fear outweighs respect. Machiavelli understood this brutal truth. He wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved, because love depends on the loyalty of others, but fear depends only on your ability to enforce consequence. Love is voluntary. It shifts with moods, circumstances, convenience. Fear is permanent. It binds because it cannot be ignored. But do not mistake fear for cruelty. Fear is not about random destruction or reckless dominance. That is weakness disguised as strength. True fear is calculated. It is instilled through consistency, through the unshakable sense that crossing you has a cost far greater than anyone is willing to pay. People may admire you for your talents, but they obey you because they fear your power. Respect without fear breeds exploitation. People will flatter you, smile at you, praise you, but test you the moment you show weakness. Fear without respect breeds rebellion. Eventually, they will turn against you. But combined? The man who is respected for his abilities and feared for his boundaries becomes untouchable. He inspires loyalty, but also caution. He is admired, but never underestimated. How do you achieve this balance? Through mastery of presence. When you give, give wisely. When you punish, punish decisively. Never overextend kindness, for it will be mistaken for weakness. Never unleash anger carelessly, for it will be mistaken for instability. Instead, let your actions build a reputation of controlled strength, mercy when it serves you, ruthlessness when it is required. And remember this, people do not fear the loud man, the reckless man, or the unstable man. They fear the man who remains calm, cold, and decisive. The man who punishes without hesitation, but without noise. The man whose silence is heavier than another man's threats. Respect is earned. Fear is commanded. Together, they form the foundation of unshakable power. Become the figure they admire. But more importantly, become the figure they dare not betray. Number 4, the art of manipulation. Power is never built on force alone. Armies may win battles, wealth may buy influence, and status may open doors, but these things are fleeting. The true architecture of power lies in the unseen currents of the mind. This is the domain of manipulation. It is the silent weapon, the invisible hand, the art that transforms influence into inevitability. The man who masters manipulation bends the world without anyone noticing the pressure. You must understand this above all else. People are not rational creatures. They imagine themselves logical, deliberate, and self-controlled. But beneath their polished exterior lies chaos, emotions, fears, cravings, and insecurities. It is this chaos that governs their decisions, even when they believe they are acting rationally. Machiavelli knew this. He wrote not for saints, but for men who understood the crooked nature of human beings, and in that crookedness lies opportunity. A man's weakness is not his shame, it is your lever. Pride, vanity, lust, fear, greed. These are the strings, and if you can pull them with precision, you can make any man dance. You must learn to see what others cannot, the hidden desires behind words, the silent insecurities beneath confidence, the secret fears disguised as anger. Once you see them, the game is yours. Do not mistake manipulation for simple lying. Lies are blunt, fragile, and dangerous when exposed. Manipulation is far more elegant. It is persuasion sharpened into a blade. It is suggestion, carefully planted like a seed, growing unnoticed until it becomes the tree that casts its shadow over their every choice. True manipulation makes a man believe he is acting freely, when in truth he is walking exactly where you want him to go. To manipulate, you must first master observation. Study people more than they study you. Ask yourself, what drives them? What are they desperate to prove? What are they terrified to lose? What do they crave in silence but dare not say aloud? For some, it is recognition. For others, it is security. For many, it is validation. Once you know their hunger, you hold their leash. Give them just enough to feed it, and they will keep returning to you, bound not by chains, but by desire. Machiavelli himself advised princes to appear generous, merciful, and just, but to practice cruelty, deception, and ambition in secret. Why? Because appearances move the masses more than reality ever will. People live not by truth, but by perception. Learn this, and you will never again waste energy on what is. You will instead focus on what seems. And manipulation goes beyond individuals. Entire crowds can be swayed with the same principles. The masses are not difficult to control, they are desperate for direction. Give them a symbol, and they will follow it. Give them a story, and they will believe it. Give them an enemy, and they will fight for you as if it were their own cause. The crowd is a beast, wild, hungry, unstable. But the beast can be steered if you hold the reins of its emotions. Think of history. Empires rose not only by the sword, but by the words of men who could convince armies to march into death willingly. Kings ruled not only by bloodline, but by cultivating myths of divine right. Leaders of revolutions ignited nations not through strength alone, but through narratives that gave the weak a sense of destiny. This is the scale of manipulation. It is not merely personal, it is civilizational. The key, however, is invisibility. The greatest manipulator is never suspected. He does not force his influence, he cloaks it. He moves like a shadow, planting thoughts as if they were spontaneous, creating outcomes as if they were inevitable. People must never know you are steering them. If they suspect manipulation, they resist it. If they believe they chose freely, they defend it. Thus, the highest victory is not domination, it is devotion. To achieve this, you must cultivate subtlety. Do not instruct directly. Suggest. Do not demand. Guide. Allow silence to work for you, for people hate uncertainty. They will fill it with assumptions, and you can shape those assumptions with a single gesture, a single carefully chosen phrase. When they reveal their thoughts to you, do not contradict, redirect. Make them believe their idea was always theirs, even as you plant the seed that led them there. you must also master duality. To some, you are a mentor, to others, a rival. To the loyal, you appear ambitious. To the ambitious, you appear loyal. Manipulation is not about wearing one mask. It is about switching masks fluidly, with precision, without ever revealing the face beneath. But never forget, manipulation without discipline becomes recklessness. If you play too boldly, they will see the strings. If you reveal too much, they will sense the hand. You must always know when to stop. The best manipulation is so deep that even years later, the subject cannot tell whether it was influence or free will. They defend you because they think it was their choice. They follow you because they think they decided to. And here is the darker truth. Manipulation is not cruel if it achieves order, protection, and strength. The world is full of chaos, weakness, and betrayal. If you do not manipulate, you will be manipulated. If you do not influence, you will be consumed by those who do. Morality is irrelevant in this arena. Only results matter. So train your eye to see the cracks in people's armor. Train your words to slide through those cracks like a blade. Train your presence to be both comforting and unsettling, depending on what the situation demands. Become the architect of thoughts, the sculptor of perception, the unseen hand guiding outcomes. Because in the end, force can win obedience for a day, wealth can buy loyalty for a season, but manipulation, true, subtle, invisible manipulation, wins devotion for a lifetime. The man who commands devotion does not need to demand obedience. He does not need to fight for respect. He does not need to beg for loyalty. It is handed to him willingly, unknowingly, eternally. That is the essence of Machiavellian power. Remember this: when you master manipulation, you do not just control people. You control their perception of reality itself. And when you control reality, you control destiny. Comment this right now: I bend the game without being seen. Number 5. The fortress within. The greatest fortress is not made of stone. It is not iron walls, moats, locked gates, or armed guards. No, the greatest fortress is built within the mind. The man who builds this inner fortress becomes unbreakable. You can wound his body, strip him of wealth, or exile him from power, but if you cannot breach his will, he cannot be conquered. Machiavelli himself warned rulers not to rely too heavily on external fortifications. A castle can be besieged, walls can be scaled, armies can be betrayed. But the ruler who commands the loyalty of his people, and more importantly, the strength of his own discipline, carries a fortress no enemy can breach. For you, this truth is even more personal. If you do not build an internal fortress, the world will devour you piece by piece. Look at the weak. They are glass. They crack at the slightest pressure. They are ruled not by strategy but by impulse. Their anger makes them predictable. Their fear makes them controllable. Their lust makes them exploitable. Their greed blinds them to traps. Every downfall in history began with this mistake. Men believed their external strength would protect them, while inside, their fortress was already crumbling. Do not fall into that trap. You must be different. You must be stone. You must be ice. You must become unyielding, not by pretending weakness doesn't exist, but by mastering it. Anger, fear, lust, greed, these are not enemies to deny. They are flames to contain, fires to forge into weapons, energy you control rather than energy that controls you. The fortress within is built by denying your enemies access to your emotions. Do not allow them to see you bleed. Do not allow them to hear your desperation. Do not allow them to sense your hunger. What they cannot detect, they cannot exploit. What they cannot measure, they cannot attack. Every fortress requires walls. Yours are silence and patience. Your silence keeps others guessing. Your patience ensures you strike when they are weakest, not when you are emotional. Every fortress requires gates. Yours are detachment. You decide who gets access, who enters, and on what terms. Every fortress requires towers. Yours are discipline, the watchtowers of the mind that see every threat before it comes close. And at the heart of this fortress is the throne, your will, your unbreakable command of yourself. But understand this, building such a fortress requires sacrifice, Comfort is the first weakness. Comfort softens men, makes them complacent, and turns warriors into sheep. If your strength depends on comfort, you are already defeated. You must strip away dependency, for dependency creates cracks in the foundation. Solitude will become your ally. In solitude, you sharpen yourself. In solitude, you confront the raw truth of your mind. In solitude, you learn who you are without distraction, without flattery, without noise. The weak run from solitude because they cannot face their own emptiness. The strong embrace it because solitude is where the walls of the fortress are built. Ask yourself, what in you can be used against you? Anger. Then train yourself to master it until your calm is more terrifying than any rage. Fear. Then confront it until it hardens into courage. Desire. Then discipline it until your hunger bends to your command. Every weakness you master is another stone laid in the walls of your fortress. Every indulgence you resist is another gate reinforced. This fortress, once built, becomes more than defense. It becomes aura. People will feel it before you speak. They will sense that you are not like them, that you are unshakable, immovable, untouchable. They will be unsettled by your calm, intimidated by your silence, and drawn to the gravity of your presence. They will fear disappointing you because they sense you cannot be manipulated. That is the hidden power of the fortress. It radiates strength without noise. Machiavelli noted that rulers fall when they indulge too much, when they become predictable, when they grow careless. The same applies to you. You will collapse if your inner fortress is built on sand. If you chase pleasure instead of power, if you respond to every insult with noise, if you surrender discipline to comfort. The fortress is built not in grand declarations, but in the small, relentless decisions you make every day. Every temptation you master is a stone. Every impulse you control is a wall. Every moment you remain silent when others would speak is a tower rising higher. You must practice denial, not denial of reality, but denial of weakness. Train your body to endure pain, so pain cannot break you. Train your mind to survive boredom, so distraction cannot control you. Train your spirit to walk in silence, so the noise of the world cannot disturb you. A fortress is not built in one day. It is built over years of discipline, solitude, and struggle. But once complete, the fortress makes you unstoppable. You will not need to roar, because your silence will be more commanding than another man's screams. You will not need to prove strength, because your presence alone will prove it. You will not need to strike often, because your reputation will strike for you. The fortress protects, but it also magnifies. And here lies the paradox. Once you are unbreakable within, you no longer need external validation. You no longer depend on the crowd's approval, the enemy's fear, or the world's praise. You become independent of all of it. That is true freedom. That is true power. The man who needs nothing cannot be bought, cannot be seduced, cannot be enslaved. Remember this. No empire survives if the ruler cannot rule himself. No strategy succeeds if the strategist is ruled by impulse. No man commands others until he first commands himself. The fortress within is the foundation of all power. Without it, you will crumble. With it, you will be eternal. Build your walls from silence. Build your gates from detachment. Build your towers from discipline. And place your throne in the heart of your will. This is how you become untouchable. This is how you make yourself immortal in a world of fragile men. Comment this right now. My mind is my fortress. Number 6, the power of absence. Presence creates weight. Absence creates gravity. Most men spend their lives clawing for attention, desperate to be seen, desperate to be heard, desperate to be noticed. They flood every room with noise, fill every silence with chatter, and mistake visibility for power. But the truth is harsher. Power does not come from being everywhere. Power comes from being rare. Machiavelli understood this. He knew that a ruler who exposes himself too often becomes ordinary. Familiarity dulls authority. The prince who is constantly seen loses the aura of mystique that makes men fear and respect him. Appear too often and you are taken for granted. Withhold yourself and suddenly your presence becomes an event. Scarcity makes gold valuable. Scarcity makes power magnetic. Think of how people treat abundance. The voice that speaks constantly becomes background noise. The man who is always available is treated as disposable. The ruler who is always visible is taken lightly. But the one who appears rarely, who speaks with precision, who makes his presence scarce, he becomes unforgettable. When he enters the room, people straighten their posture. When he speaks, they lean in. When he withdraws, they feel the void. That is the power of absence. Absence magnifies. It multiplies your influence without requiring your effort. When you are not there, they wonder where you are, what you are planning, what you might be preparing. And in their wonder, they give you more power than you could take with words. Because now you live in their minds. They build your legend in your silence. But absence is not neglect. It is not laziness. It is not running away. Absence must be deliberate, strategic, controlled. You do not vanish without purpose. You vanish because it serves a greater end. Every absence must function like a weapon. Every silence must carry weight. When you step back, you do it to conserve energy, to sharpen your edge, to study, to wait for the perfect strike. There are many ways to weaponize absence. Use it to create scarcity. When you withdraw, your value increases. The less they see you, the more they crave you. Use it to create mystique. The fewer your words, the heavier they become. Use it to create pressure. When you are silent, your enemies torture themselves with paranoia, wondering what you are planning. In this way, your absence is not weakness, it is psychological warfare. Consider history. Alexander the Great often withdrew before striking with overwhelming force, letting enemies grow complacent in his absence. Genghis Khan vanished entire armies into the horizon, only to return suddenly and shatter kingdoms. Even in modern times, the most powerful figures in politics and business rarely make themselves too accessible. They appear at the moment of maximum impact and then withdraw into silence again. Their absence is not weakness, it is strategy. Even in personal life, absence is a weapon. A lover who is too available loses allure. A leader who is too present loses reverence. A warrior who reveals himself too often loses advantage. But the one who can step back, who can vanish at the right time, leaving silence behind, becomes magnetic. Absence creates hunger. Hunger creates loyalty. There is also a deeper, darker edge to absence. It is punishment. Sometimes the greatest revenge is not rage, not words, not confrontation. It is silence. It is the deliberate removal of your presence. To cut someone off from your attention, your energy, your presence, that is a punishment sharper than any insult. For attention is currency, and when you withdraw it, the world feels the loss like a wound. But you must also understand the danger of absence. Too much, and you risk irrelevance. Withdraw without purpose, and they will forget you. Retreat without strategy, and you look weak. The art of absence lies in balance, appearing just enough to maintain weight, disappearing just enough to magnify it. Like a heartbeat, presence and absence must alternate with rhythm. Too constant, and you become background noise. Too absent, and you disappear into nothingness. Balance makes you unforgettable. Psychologically, absence is torment. The insecure cannot handle silence. When you do not speak, they fill the void with their own fears. When you do not explain, they invent stories. When you do not appear, they create myths. They torture themselves with questions. Why isn't he here? What is he planning? Did I offend him? Will he return? Their own imagination becomes your weapon. You do nothing, and yet you dominate them. This is why restraint is essential. The weak cannot bear to be absent. They are addicted to attention, intoxicated by constant exposure. They believe being forgotten is death, but the strong man knows this. Obscurity is not death, it is incubation. You withdraw to sharpen your claws, to build your fortress, to prepare your strike. The weak spend their energy proving themselves. The strong conserve their energy and reveal it only at the decisive moment. Absence is also economic. Your presence is currency. Spend it too freely and it becomes worthless. Guard it, ration it, invest it only where it multiplies, and suddenly your presence becomes priceless. People will compete for it. They will pay for it. They will fight for it. That is how kings are made, not by being everywhere, but by being rare. And do not forget, absence creates legacy. The greatest men in history became larger after their disappearance. Their deaths, their silences, their withdrawals, they became myths because their absence was filled with imagination. Presence shows reality. Absence creates legend. So what must you do? Control your appearances. Do not reveal yourself too often. Make every presence deliberate, every word calculated, every silence heavy. Step back when necessary. Let them miss you. Let them speculate. Let them suffer in your silence. And when you return, return with precision, with force, with inevitability. Never fear absence. Fear only irrelevance. Absence, when mastered, makes you unforgettable. It makes your silence louder than their screams. It makes your retreat more terrifying than their attack. It makes your return inevitable, unstoppable, undeniable. Because in the end, absence is not retreat. It is power gathering in the shadows. It is silence sharpening into thunder. It is invisibility that magnifies your presence. The sun is absent at night, but its absence controls the tides. The predator is absent from the field, but its absence makes the prey tremble in the dark. So too must you master absence, not as weakness, but as your most dangerous weapon. Remember, presence is weight. Absence is gravity. The world can ignore weight. It cannot escape gravity. Comment this right now. My absence makes me powerful. Number 7. Mastering the game of loyalty. Loyalty is the most dangerous illusion in power. Men treat it as sacred, speak of it as eternal, and pretend it is unbreakable. They sing songs of loyalty. They write oaths. They pledge their lives to kings, causes, or companions. But when the storm of fortune turns, when danger approaches, when self-interest calls, those oaths dissolve like smoke. Loyalty is not a virtue. Loyalty is a transaction, and if you do not understand this, you will be betrayed. Machiavelli saw the truth clearly. Love, friendship, promises, all these bend when convenience shifts. Love fades, promises are broken. Friendship is forgotten the moment survival demands it. But fear binds. Fear lingers. Fear does not require memory, nor morality, nor honor. It requires only one thing: the knowledge that betrayal will cost more than loyalty. That is not loyalty of the heart. It is loyalty of survival, and it is the only loyalty you should ever trust. Every man serves himself first. Even the most loyal ally is still loyal to his own interests above yours. Remember that. Even when he kneels to you, even when he praises you, even when he swears eternal brotherhood, it is himself he serves. His loyalty to you is simply the reflection of his loyalty to his own advancement. If staying with you benefits him, he stays. If betraying you benefits him more, he betrays. That is human nature. You cannot erase it, but you can weaponize it. The art of power lies not in expecting loyalty, but in designing the game so that loyalty to you is always the most profitable choice. If you are wise, your allies will never need to love you. They will need you. They will need your protection, your wealth, your influence, your fearsome reputation. They will stay loyal not because they want to, but because they cannot afford not to. How do you engineer this? First, through fear. Fear is the chain that never rusts. Love can be replaced. Admiration can fade. But fear remains. If a man believes betrayal will bring him ruin, he will not betray. One punishment delivered swiftly without hesitation will echo louder than 1,000 rewards. When you punish betrayal, do it decisively, publicly, and completely. Do not merely wound, destroy. A man who betrays you and lives becomes a seed of rebellion. A man who betrays you and dies becomes a warning that keeps others loyal. Second, through ambition. Men are greedy. They crave power, wealth, and advancement. Harness this hunger. Give them a path to rise under you, and they will tie their fortunes to yours. Make them believe their future is linked to your success. And they will defend you because in defending you, they defend themselves. But caution, never give them so much power that they can rise above you. Feed their ambition just enough to keep them hungry, never enough to let them walk away. Keep them moving forward, but always behind you. Third, through division. Never allow loyalty to consolidate against you. Divide your allies, so they never unite against you. Let them compete for your approval. Let them envy each other's positions. Let them distrust one another. That way, their loyalty flows upward toward you, not sideways toward each other. Machiavelli warned that divided men are easier to rule, and he was right. A united group is a threat. A divided group is your tool. Fourth, through reward. Reward loyalty strategically, not lavishly. Give just enough to encourage it, but never enough to breed entitlement. Too much generosity creates weakness. Too little generosity creates resentment. The balance creates hunger. Reward at key moments, reward with precision, and let your rewards feel like privileges, not rights. A soldier who feels entitled becomes complacent. A soldier who feels privileged becomes devoted. And finally, the highest mastery of loyalty. Make people believe loyalty is their choice. When you plant the illusion that they chose freely to follow you, their loyalty becomes deeper. They will defend you not just for survival, but because they believe they are protecting their own decision. This is the most dangerous loyalty of all, the loyalty they do not even question. But even then, you must remain vigilant. No matter how carefully engineered, loyalty is never permanent. Betrayal is always possible. That is why you must guard yourself at all times. Never trust anyone completely. Never give full access to your fortress. Always keep leverage. Always keep secrets. Always prepare for betrayal, because it is not a matter of if, but when. History is littered with the corpses of those who misunderstood loyalty. Julius Caesar believed Brutus was loyal, and Brutus put a knife in his heart. Napoleon believed his marshals would remain with him, but many abandoned him when his fortune turned. Kings trusted advisors who poisoned their cups. Generals trusted armies that deserted them on the eve of battle. What destroyed them was not betrayal itself, but their blindness to the nature of loyalty. The wise man does not seek loyalty of the heart. He engineers loyalty of necessity. He ensures that staying with him is always the safest option, and leaving him is always the most dangerous. He creates systems where betrayal equals ruin and loyalty equals survival. This truth applies beyond rulers and empires. It applies in personal life. Friends, lovers, allies. They are loyal only so long as their interests align with yours. Remove the benefits, and their loyalty dissolves. This is not cynicism. It is clarity. Once you accept this, you will never again be surprised by betrayal. Instead, you will expect it, plan for it, and turn it to your advantage. Your goal is not to eliminate betrayal. It cannot be eliminated. Your goal is to make betrayal costlier than loyalty. You must design the game so carefully that even if a man considers betrayal, the consequences terrify him into obedience. And if one does betray you, destroy him so completely that his downfall becomes your warning to others. The ruins of traitors are the foundation of obedience. Remember, loyalty is a mirror of power. It reflects only what you build into it. If you are careless, loyalty fractures. If you are weak, loyalty evaporates. If you are strong, disciplined, and ruthless, loyalty holds, because fear holds, ambition holds, division holds, necessity holds. Never mistake loyalty for love. Love fades, loyalty bends, but necessity endures. Build systems where you are necessary, and you will never be abandoned. Engineer structures where your removal means collapse, and no one will dare remove you. This is Machiavelli's truth. Loyalty is not given. It is manufactured. It is cultivated, enforced, and controlled. It is never assumed. It is engineered. So never beg for loyalty, never demand it, never assume it, create it, control it, command it. And when betrayal comes, as it always will, crush it swiftly so that loyalty strengthens again in fear of the consequences. Be the one who engineers loyalty through fear, ambition, division, and reward. Be the one whose presence makes betrayal unthinkable and whose absence makes loyalty inevitable. When you master loyalty as a tool, not as a dream, not as a hope, but as a weapon, you master men themselves. And the man who masters men masters destiny. Comment this right now. I engineer loyalty. I never beg for it. Number 8. Ruthlessness in strategy. Mercy is celebrated by the weak. Ruthlessness is remembered by the strong. If you want to endure in a world that devours the unprepared, you must strip away the illusions of morality that bind lesser men. Strategy without ruthlessness is a dull blade. It may look impressive, but it will never cut when it matters most. Machiavelli understood this truth. He advised rulers that when cruelty serves order, it is not cruelty at all. It is necessity. Weak rulers believed that kindness would buy them loyalty. Instead, it bought them contempt. They hesitated when they should have struck, and in that hesitation, they were destroyed. A decisive cruelty at the right moment prevents endless chaos. A single act of ruthless strength creates stability, where mercy would have bred weakness. Ruthlessness in strategy does not mean blind violence. It does not mean destroying everything in your path. That is savagery, not mastery. True ruthlessness is precision. It is the ability to do what must be done without hesitation, without apology, without regret. It is the steel that allows you to sacrifice comfort, loyalty, even relationships if they interfere with your survival. The ruthless strategist is not driven by emotion. He is driven by results. Look at history. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, knowing it meant civil war. Ruthless, yes, but necessary. He risked Rome itself because hesitation would have meant his political death. He won, and his name became immortal. Genghis Khan annihilated entire cities not because he loved blood, but because he knew terror would prevent rebellions for generations. His ruthlessness built an empire that lasted longer than his life. Even in business and politics today, the most successful figures are those who cut ties, eliminate threats, and sacrifice pawns without hesitation. The weak cling to everything. They cannot let go of allies, possessions, or illusions, even when those things drag them down. The ruthless strategist knows that everything is expendable if it serves the greater goal. He is willing to burn bridges, to sever ties, to destroy opportunities, if doing so clears the path to power. Nothing is sacred except victory. But ruthlessness is not just external, it must also be internal. You must be ruthless with yourself, ruthless with your time, ruthless with your weaknesses, ruthless with your excuses. Cut them away, destroy them without hesitation. Do not tolerate laziness in yourself. Do not forgive weakness in yourself. Do not coddle your own fears. The man who is not ruthless with himself cannot be ruthless with the world. You must also be ruthless in clarity. Never allow yourself the luxury of comforting lies. See the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. Weak men drown in hope. Strong men thrive in reality. To be ruthless is to accept hard truths. Loyalty is temporary. Love is conditional. Fairness is a myth. The only constant is power, and the only justice is strength. Accept this, and you will never again be caught off guard by betrayal, disappointment, or failure. But understand this, ruthlessness must be masked. Never flaunt it recklessly. If people see only cruelty, they will unite against you. Ruthlessness must be wrapped in justification, cloaked in strategy, disguised as necessity. The people must see order where you have delivered punishment. They must see logic where you have delivered cruelty. Appear reluctant when you must act decisively. Let them believe you are fair, even as you destroy without hesitation. Perception shields your ruthlessness from rebellion. The greatest rulers in history understood this balance. They punished swiftly, but with reason. They destroyed their enemies, but explained it as justice. They cut down rivals, but cloaked it in the language of stability. To the masses, they appeared harsh, but necessary. To their enemies, they appeared merciless. To themselves, they appeared clear. You must cultivate this same balance. Do not be cruel for the sake of cruelty. Do not destroy for the sake of ego. Ego is weakness. Ruthlessness is not emotional, it is mathematical. If a relationship weakens you, cut it. If an ally becomes a rival, remove him. If a plan wastes time, abandon it. Every move must serve survival, dominance, victory. Anything else is distraction. This is why ruthlessness is feared and respected. The ruthless strategist cannot be manipulated. He cannot be shamed. He cannot be guilted into weakness. When others beg, he remains cold. When others hesitate, he advances. When others surrender, he conquers. People may not love him, but they cannot forget him. They may resent him, but they will never underestimate him. But ruthlessness also requires discipline. Too much, and you destroy allies unnecessarily. Too little, and you invite betrayal. The art lies in proportion. Strike hard enough that rebellion is unthinkable, but precise enough that you do not waste strength. Ruthlessness is not chaos. It is order delivered through decisive action. Ask yourself, where in your life have you hesitated when you should have acted? Where have you tolerated weakness out of fear of appearing cruel? Where have you allowed comfort to make you soft, loyalty to make you blind, love to make you weak? These are the cracks in your fortress. These are the openings through which enemies strike. Ruthlessness is the sealant that closes them. The world does not reward hesitation. It rewards precision. It rewards decisiveness. It rewards those who are willing to do what others cannot stomach. That is why ruthless men rise. That is why Machiavelli's prince survives where the kind ruler falls. That is why history remembers those who were feared, not those who were loved. In the end, ruthlessness is not about cruelty. It is about survival. It is about clarity. It is about the will to do what must be done, no matter the cost. The ruthless strategist is not reckless, but he is merciless. He does not hesitate. He does not waver. He does not compromise his future for the comfort of the present. Remember this truth: hesitation is death. Ruthlessness is survival. The man who hesitates becomes prey. The man who is ruthless becomes predator, and the predator always wins. Number 9. Becoming untouchable. To be untouchable is the highest form of power. It is not about being the strongest in the room, nor the loudest, nor the most feared in a single moment. It is about building yourself into a force that cannot be shaken, broken, or removed. It is the combination of silence, calculation, discipline, absence, fear, respect, manipulation, and ruthlessness, all forged into one presence. The untouchable man does not chase validation. He does not bow to the opinions of the crowd. He does not reveal weakness for the comfort of others. He moves when he chooses. He speaks when he must. And when he strikes, it is final. People cannot read him, cannot predict him, cannot dismantle him. He becomes an enigma, a fortress, a storm concealed in stillness. Machiavelli's blueprint was never about playing fair. It was about playing to win. And winning does not belong to the man who hesitates, or who clings to illusions of loyalty, or who fears being called cruel. It belongs to the man who accepts reality as it is, who molds it to his advantage, who refuses to be bent by weakness. To be untouchable, you must build layers of power that no enemy can penetrate. A fortress within, a mask without, silence sharpened into a sword, absence weaponized into fear, loyalty engineered, not assumed, manipulation unseen but always present, and ruthlessness embedded into every decision. When all these elements converge, you cease to be a man in the eyes of others. You become a force of inevitability. This is the path. This is the transformation. Not to be loved, not to be pitied, not even to be admired, but to be respected, feared, and above all, untouchable. And now, I want you to leave your mark. Comment this right now. I am untouchable. Write it and let it burn into your mind as your declaration. If this spoke to you, if it carved itself into your mind like a weapon, then do not remain silent. Like this video, subscribe to Psygrythm, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next blueprint for power. Because this is not entertainment, this is transformation, and transformation requires commitment.